So, good morning, dear students of class 9. And today, let us continue and finish up with scene 7 of Act 2 of our favorite drama, The Merchant of Venice. And in our previous video tutorial, we had done up to page 70, and today we continue from page 71. So, on your screen, you can see Act 2, Scene 7, page 71. And we were in the middle of Prince of Morocco's speech, where he was trying to say that he thinks he deserves Portia. And that is what he continues with here. Let us see what he says further. He says, I do in birth deserve her, and in fortunes, in graces, and in qualities of breeding. But more than these, in love I do deserve. So he says, I deserve Portia by birth. He has so much of self-confidence that he thinks that he deserves Portia ever since he was born. So by birth he deserves her. And in terms of acquiring fortunes, that is, he is a prince and therefore he is a fortunate person. So in that sense, he says that even Portia is like a fortune which he deserves. In graces and in qualities of breeding. So he says that as far as his upbringing was concerned, because he was from a royal family, the quality breeding or upbringing that he had received and all the graces that he had been receiving ever since he was born as a prince, in terms of those two, he deserves Portia. But more than these, in love I do deserve. And then he adds that even more than these things, I deserve Portia because I love her. So in terms of love, I do deserve. So this is what he says on the basis of what he reads on the silver casket. Remember, first he had read the inscription on the gold casket, then he had moved to the silver, then he had moved to the lead casket, and now he is reversing and reverting back to the gold casket one by one. So he started off the second round by reading the inscription on the lead casket, which we saw in the previous video, and then he came up to the silver casket, and here he read that the one who chooses me, or rather the one who chooseth me, shall get as much as he deserves. So on the basis of his deservings, Prince of Morocco is saying these words. And then he says in line 35, what if I strayed no further, but choose here? He says, what if I stopped here, and what if I decided to choose this particular box made of silver? Let's see once more this saying graved in gold. So on one hand, he thinks about stopping there, and he thinks that the silver casket could contain Portia's portrait. And on the other, he says, okay, even before I finalize my decision, let me once again check what is written or inscribed on the gold casket. And he reads the inscription or the writing or the line written on the gold casket once again. Who chooseth me shall gain what many men desire. So, one who chooses me shall gain what many men have the desire of gaining. So, he immediately jumps to the conclusion and says, why, that's the lady. Many men desire Portia. That's why so many suitors from all the corners of the world come to Belmont. And Morocco counts himself among one of them, and he says, why, that's the lady. That's what it means after all. I mean, this is the right casket. It has to be this one. All the world desires her. The entire world desires Portia. Who doesn't desire Portia? From the four corners of the earth they come to kiss this shrine. So from the four corners of the world, these suitors, they keep coming to Belmont, and their purpose is to touch with their lips this shrine. Shrine refers to Portia's palace in Belmont, or Portia's residence in Belmont, or Portia's house in Belmont. So he's trying to compare Portia's house with a shrine. What is a shrine? A shrine is a religious place of worship. It could be a mosque, it could be a temple, it could be a church. But here he refers to Portia's residence as the shrine. This mortal breathing saint, this mortal breathing saint. Next, he goes on to compare Portia with a breathing saint, or someone who is like a saint, and someone who is mortal, that means human, and someone who breathes and lives just as any other human does. Then Morocco says, the Hyrcanian deserts and the vasty wilds of wide Arabia are as thoroughfares now for princes to come view fair Portia. The watery kingdom whose ambitious head spits in the face of heaven is no bar to stop the foreign spirits, but they come as over a brook to see fair Portia. So he gives the description of how suitors from all the different corners of the world brave all difficult terrain and even the mighty oceans to reach Belmont, only to have a glimpse of Portia. So Hyrcanian deserts reference is given alongside a desert region to the south of the Caspian Sea. Hyrcania was a province of the ancient Persian Empire, and the vasty wild refers to vast wilderness of Arabia. Now, Arabian desert, people cross the Arabian desert, the Hyrcanian desert, and they cross the watery kingdom, meaning to say the oceans and seas, and they travel all the way to Belmont from all the different corners of the world. And who are these people? These people are the several suitors of Portia who want to marry her, and they just come. Just as water flows down a brook, the same way they just come. These foreign spirits or these foreign individuals or people or suitors, they come from different lands, different countries, different foreign countries, only to have a glimpse of beautiful Portia. One of these three contains her heavenly picture. It's like that lead contains, is it like that lead contains her? So then he again talks about the caskets, and he says, one of these three boxes happens to contain Portia's picture inside it. So is it possible that it's inside the lead casket? 'Twere damnation to think so base a thought. So it is a condemning thought. If I even think that Portia's portrait could be inside such a dull looking base metal casket, if I even have the slightest thought of that sort, then it is something which will condemn me to hell. My soul will be condemned and will be sent to hell even if I think like that. So it's not possible. The lead casket? That's not possible. Cannot be. It were too gross to rib her cerecloth in the obscure grave. Lead is such a dull and such a base metal that it is even not suitable to become a coffin for Portia and enclose her body wrapped in her cerecloth. Cerecloth is the cloth with which the dead body is wrapped. So it is not even suitable to entomb the corpse of Portia, leave apart the living Portia's portrait. So it's not possible. It's impossible. Cannot be. Or shall I think in silver she's immured? Or should I start thinking that maybe her picture could be inside this silver casket? Is it possible? Being 10 times undervalued to tried gold? Even if I think that way also, I must remember that silver is 10 times less in value than gold, which has been tested, tried, and always found valuable. Tried means something which is tested and has always been proven to be the most expensive metal. So, in comparison, silver is 10 times cheaper. So it's not possible even in the silver casket. See his analysis. Lead, not possible. Silver, not possible. Oh, sinful thought! Never so rich a gem was set in worse than gold. Just as, think about a diamond. Would anyone make a diamond ring out of silver? Or would the person prefer gold? See, for the most expensive of all jewels, the most expensive metal is required. So, if Portia is comparable to a precious jewel or a stone, then the only metal which can hold her portrait or hold her picture has to be gold, because gold is the most valuable of these three metals, the three metal boxes that you can see before him. They have in England a coin that bears the figure of an angel. And he talks about a coin which is there in England. And on the coin, just as in Indian coins, we have the engraving of the Ashokan emblem on one side, and on the other side, you could possibly have the digit of the denomination of the coin. Sometimes special coins are issued in which there are engravings of great people, great politicians, or great men, great women of from some other field. So you get to see Gandhiji, you get to see Nehru, you get to see Indira Gandhi, or maybe sometimes you get to see even Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So such eminent personalities engraved on Indian coins. Same in case of England. They have usually on one side the engraving of the queen, the engraving of the queen's face on one side, and on the other side you have the denomination mentioned, the digits of the denomination of the coin. But there was this particular coin in those times, in Shakespeare's time, about which Prince of Morocco is referring here. He says that there is in England a coin which bears the engraving of an angel's face or an angel's shape. On one side of the coin, you have the shape of an angel, an engraving of an angel, a figure of an angel. And then we move on to page 72, and he continues, stamped in gold, but that's insculped upon. So you see, when you have to engrave an angel, you don't choose a silver coin, you choose a gold coin, because an angel is an immortal being much above human beings. Therefore, it is insculped upon. But that figure of the angel is engraved on the gold coin, implying that the figure is outside. Whereas in this case, the portrait of Portia is inside. So that is the only difference. That's what he thinks. He says, in England they have a coin of an angel, and an angel is engraved on the coin, but that engraving is on the outer surface of the coin as it happens. But here we have a box of gold or a casket made of gold, and I'm sure my angel, referring to Portia, must be inside and is therefore not visible. But here an angel in a golden bed lies all within. So that's what he means. And then he says, deliver me the key, give me the key. Here do I choose and thrive I as I may. So he says, this is my choice. I choose this box, and let me thrive. That is, let me continue to enjoy my fortunes if it is so. So I want to choose and open this golden box. Portia says, there, take it, prince, and if my form lie there, then I am yours. So Portia gives the key. She says, there is the key, take it and open the box, and if you get to see my form inside the box, form in the sense, my picture, inside that box, then I am yours. He opens the golden casket. Prince of Morocco opens the golden casket, and surprise, surprise, what does he find? Morocco, oh hell, what have we here? His voice comes down to a minimum, and he is shocked beyond disbelief. Oh hell, what have we here? A carrion death, within whose empty eye there is a written scroll. I can see the skull of a dead man inside this box, and inside one of the hollow eye sockets of the skull is a rolled up piece of paper or a scroll. I'll read the writing He pulls out the rolled up piece of paper or the scroll and he opens it and he starts reading. And what does he read? Well, what he reads is now on your screen. All that glisters is not gold. Often have you heard that told. Now this has become a proverb, the very first line of this poem, which is written in a scroll and is found inside the hollow eye socket of the dead man's skull inside the golden casket. You have all heard of the proverb, all that glitters is not gold. That has come from this particular line written by William Shakespeare. So William Shakespeare wrote it first, and now it's a popular English proverb. All that glisters means glitters, is not gold. Often have you heard that told. Very often you have heard people telling you that anything which shines is not necessarily made of gold. Many a man his life hath sold, but my outside to behold. Many people have actually sacrificed their lives just to have a glimpse of me. Who is speaking? Gold is speaking. Gold is saying, gilded tombs do worms enfold. So this is symbolic. What is golden on the outside may have worms breeding inside. So tombs are graves. Graves which are nicely plated with gold and other decorations. If you dig them up, you will find that inside it's a massacre. The dead, rotting body of the person who has been buried is already decomposing and badly being infested with worms. So from outside you cannot make out. It looks like a beautiful piece of art. The grave looks beautiful. It's gilded. Gilded means layered with gold or plated with gold. So gilded tombs. Tombs are graves. They hold worms inside that feed on the decomposing dead body. Had you been as wise as bold, young in limbs, in judgment old, your answer had not been inscrolled. If you had been as wise in your judgment as you are very bold, you are bold and brave, but you are not wise. You lack wisdom. If your wisdom would have been of the same level as your boldness, then, and if you had been young in limbs, in judgment old, meaning to say, though you are young, if you had a matured mind and a wiser sense of judgment, then today you wouldn't have received your result written on this scroll. What you are reading right now is the result of your choice. And this result wouldn't have been yours if you had been wiser than you are physically. You had been older in your judgment and wiser in your judgment. You see, old people, they have more experience about life and so they have better judgmental abilities. So that is what the scroll is trying to say. All these are actually written by Portia's father and kept inside the boxes. Okay, so your answer had not been inscrolled. Your answer wouldn't have been written on this particular rolled up piece of paper. Fare you well, your suit is cold. So goodbye to you, because your pursuit, your efforts to marry Portia, to woo her and to achieve her are now nil or finished or over or cold. And then Morocco says, cold indeed. When he reads that last word, cold, he remarks on that and he says in line 75, cold indeed and labor lost, then farewell heat and welcome frost. Yes, my hard work has not paid off. I made the labor of coming all the way from Morocco to here, crossed the Mediterranean Sea, sailed across the Mediterranean Sea all the way to Italy and reached Belmont with his train of followers, with his attendant servants and all those important people with him. But he says that my hard work hasn't paid off. So, goodbye to heat. Because as per the conditions of this lottery, he cannot fall in love with another girl, propose, and marry ever in his life. So, knowing this, he had taken an oath. Naturally, therefore, he says, welcome, Frost. Portia, adieu. Portia, goodbye. I have too grieved a heart. I have too much of a grieving heart to take a tedious leave, to take a formal, courteous leave of you before I go away. So, I'll just quickly say bye and leave. My heart is too heavy. Thus, losers part. This is the manner in which those who lose have to go away. Exit with his train. Saying this, Prince of Morocco is a man of his words. He has taken an oath. He did not waste time as soon as he realized that he has lost. So that is the plus point in his character. He is sticking to his promise and he leaves with his train of followers. Flourish of coronets once again. Now, Portia. A gentle riddance. Draw the curtains, go. Let all of his complexion choose me so. So that's a good riddance. May all those who look like him choose just like him, so that I don't have to marry any of them. Don't call Portia a racist. Portia dislikes Morocco not just for his complexion. Even Morocco is aware of that fact. That's why he begins when he meets Portia, do not dislike me because of my dark complexion. But that's not all. That's not the only reason. The main reason is that Portia loves Bassanio. But she is a very obedient girl. So much so that even after her father's death, she tries to maintain the sanctity and the auspiciousness of her father's last wishes, and she's trying to keep up to her father's expectations. But all the same, she is heaving a sigh of relief that Morocco has chosen the wrong casket and has therefore gone away. Saying this, all leave the scene and the scene comes to an end. I'm sure all of you have understood whatever I have explained. I'm sure there is no doubt whatsoever. Now here on your screen you can see once again that particular episode where Morocco has opened the golden casket, and there he has just seen the skull inside, and look at the expression on his face. He is shocked. So that's it. Students, we have finished with scene 7. In our next video tutorial, we'll be taking up scene 8. Until then, thank you very much.